Good morning, kia ora, welcome to Napier here in New Zealand. This afternoon we're heading to the coastal city of Tauranga, population approximately 160,000 people, and we're taking the Intercity bus service which runs between Hastings and Tauranga. It's not going to be the quickest journey today. I was advised several weeks back that the bus service is going from about a 5-hour journey to a 7-hour journey, but it has a 1 hour and 40-minute rest stop in the lovely city of Taupo, so maybe I'll be able to check out that, stretch my legs. So yeah, not the end of the world. It is a fairly long journey, but there's a reasonable break to break up the journey. Haven't used the Intercity bus service before. They do claim to be the largest bus operator in New Zealand. They've got a pretty extensive route network. Anyway, once we get going, I'll tell you a little bit more about the precise route details for today's journey and a little bit more about Intercity bus services itself. But just here's a little bit of a view of the bus station here in Napier, where all the regional Intercity coaches depart from. It's operated by or maintained by the city of Napier, so it looks quite decent. It's got undercover waiting areas and restroom facilities, so that's pretty good. It's right near Clyde Square Garden, so very much close to the centre of town. Anyway, it's just gone 12 noon and our ride to Tauranga for the day has just arrived from Hastings, which is just down the road. Looks like it's going to be a pretty comfortable ride today. Very few people on the bus. Probably a few more people are going to get on along the way, and maybe a few will get off as well. So yeah, we're pulling out of the station now on time, right on 12 noon. Funny little interesting thing about Napier is that it has 2 Countdown supermarkets on either side of the road. For those from Australia, if you study the design of the Countdown supermarkets closely, you'll quickly notice they are essentially the New Zealand version of Woolworths, and they are indeed owned by Woolworths, the Australian supermarket chain. So yeah, just a little fun, interesting, intriguing thing here in Napier. But yeah, obviously, yeah, there's the 2 supermarkets and also a Pack and Save and fast food restaurants as well around if you want to get a bite to eat before the journey. Anyway, we are heading out of Napier now. So yeah, today's journey is going to be quite a lengthy one. On paper and on obviously Google Maps, it's only 280 kilometres, or supposedly a 3 hour and 40-minute drive. Coming from Australia, you're sitting on 110, you think you could comfortably do the journey in about 3 hours. But unfortunately, New Zealand's really suffered some extreme weather in previous months. Cyclone Gabriel caused significant destruction and damage all over the North Island and also parts of the South Island. So a lot of the road infrastructure has been severely damaged, and there's been a lot of sort of landslips and roads getting washed away and trees falling over and all that sort of stuff. So unfortunately, yeah, that does mean it's going to be quite slow driving conditions, but that's absolutely no one's fault. It just is what it is. So yeah, it will be taking around about 7 hours. I think the conditions of the road has meant that the driver's going to have to take a longer break than usual because the trip's blowing out quite a lot in time, but that's more than fair enough. So yeah, in terms of the route details, we are starting in Napier and we're going to travel out of the Hawke's Bay wine region. It's a very beautiful part of New Zealand. So yeah, we're going to gain quite considerable altitude as we head over to Taupo. Taupo is a massive natural lake in the middle of the North Island, so it's going to be about a 2.5 to 3 hour drive till we get to Taupo. Once we are at Taupo, I think it's a city around 30,000, I seem to remember from last time I was there. Quite a nice place indeed. We're going to spend an hour and a half or so there, so I'll show you a bit around there once we get there. Then after that we're going to head north. We do have to stop in Rotorua briefly, which is another considerable regional centre on the North Island of New Zealand, also most famously known for all its geothermal activity, so you'll see a bit of that on the way in and out of town. Then after Rotorua we will continue northeast towards the coast, where we'll be getting into Tauranga around 7 o'clock this evening. Today's video is going to be just as much as a review on the Intercity bus service over to Tauranga today. I'm also going to very much incorporate, because the scenery is so beautiful here in New Zealand, a bit of a scenic sort of driving tour as well as we go along. So yeah, I'll offer a bit of commentary here and there. So yeah, what better time now until we get to Taupo, where I'll give a little bit more thoughts on the journey. What better time now to just sit back, relax and enjoy some of the beautiful, like at times challenging driving conditions as we head up to Tauranga today. gaining quite considerable altitude as we're well on our way to Taupo now. Can't help but notice the weather conditions have changed quite dramatically. It was a very mild 20-21 degrees in Napier when we left this morning, and now it's really cooled off. It's probably only about 10 degrees Celsius, and I believe there is snow forecast down to about 800-900 meters, which is not far off how high in altitude we are at the moment. So yeah, that snowy conditions coming later tonight. So yeah, quite dramatic change in weather conditions indeed. You also notice during the journey the state of the road has been quite beaten up indeed. There's a lot of trees blown over on the side of the road. There's parts of the road have been washed away. There's evidence of landslips. There's railways being upturned, and yeah, it's just really a sad sight to see that the good people in New Zealand, they've really done it tough lately in terms of weather, and yeah, it's obviously quite challenging. So much rain in the last few months, trying to get back on track. So yeah, even if the weather conditions were good in New Zealand, don't just assume it's going to be a country where you're sitting on 110 cruising down the motorway. It's a very geographically diverse sort of country. It's very hilly, very often narrow and windy roads. So yeah, combine this with the really bad weather conditions as of late. Often we're not going too much over 40-50 kilometers an hour at times. So yeah, traveling by road in New Zealand, it is slow going, but yeah, at least you get to take in the great scenery along the way, most definitely. Into the journey, the driver asks if we can take a quick rest stop and conveniences stop at some lovely little roadhouse all the way up in the highlands, somewhere not too sure where it was, but yeah, it really seems like the bus drivers over here are a little bit more chilled, a little bit more relaxed. They don't mind having a chat to the passengers, you know. Yeah, it's just seems a little bit more relaxed, not so rushed as it would be in Australia. So yeah, I actually quite like that, to be honest. Anyway, after a short break where it's much colder, we're back on the road. We're not too far out of Taupo now, so yeah, in a few moments time I'll show you what it's like coming into the town or borderline sort of city of Taupo, and yeah, show you around the lake there. It's a really nice place, even though it is quite a lengthy stop. It's not a bad place to stop, rest your legs, you know, get something at the bakery, have a walk around. It's a nice little town. We're now arrived into the town centre of Taupo. It's actually quite a large city. I think earlier I said it was around 30,000, but it's actually close to around 40,000. Taupo is, you know, if you could say, you know, Queenstown's kind of like the outdoor recreation capital of the South Island. Obviously Queenstown's very much world renowned. Taupo could be definitely the equivalent in the North Island. It's very close to the North Island ski resorts, and it's all the sort of adventure activities you can do around there, and Tongariro National Park and all that sort of stuff. So it's a really lovely town, and it's situated on the massive lake of the town that it's named after, Lake Taupo. So yeah, we're heading over to the eyesight where we're getting dropped off today. For your information, Taupo does seem to be quite a big transit hub for intercity services, so there's 3 or 4 different services departing around the time in the hour or so between when I get here and when the bus leaves again. So yeah, when you do arrive on today's service, I'm continuing all the way through to Tauranga. It's actually on the same bus, but you do want to double check you're not transferring to another service, because some buses, you know, going to Rotorua, some might be going to Auckland, some might be going to Wellington. So yeah, just double check with the driver that if you're staying on that bus, or whether you're transferring to a different bus where obviously you need to swap your luggage over and all that sort of stuff. So just double check and then make sure you're at the bus about 10 minutes before it leaves again. So yeah, we arrived at 2:40, we'll leave at 4:10, so an hour and a half. Good time to have a walk around. Actually was able to film a walking tour of Taupo while I was there, so that should be coming up soon. But yeah, we're heading out of Taupo now. It's just gone 4 o'clock. It's going to get dark pretty soon, but yeah, one more major stop at Rotorua, which is about halfway from Taupo to Tauranga. So yeah, very soon it'll be getting dark. We'll be arriving into Rotorua. I'll show you a bit around Rotorua as we arrive. It's quite a lovely city as well. So yeah, I'll let scenery do the talking again until we arrive into Rotorua. and then Tauranga, where I'll give the final verdict and thoughts on today's journey. It's starting to get dark now. What better time now to sort of conclude this bus review today, right here, right now. So today's journey started in the city of Napier on the mid-east coast of the North Island, New Zealand here. It was a fairly lengthy bus trip today. It took around 7 hours, but keep in mind there was an hour and a half rest stop in Taupo, which I actually didn't mind, to be honest. Consider it a bit of a lunch break and a bit of an opportunity to see the lovely city of Taupo if you haven't already. But yeah, today's the bus service itself, Intercity, I really couldn't complain. Travelling by bus is really not going to be a quick way to get around in New Zealand. It's just the nature of the road conditions, unfortunately, at the moment. But it was a pleasant experience nonetheless. The bus was comfortable, it wasn't overcrowded, the legroom was pretty good. There is Wi-Fi provided on the bus. Does drop in and drop out. It's very much a 3G, 4G sort of mobile reception it relies on. But yeah, it was a pretty decent journey, and for the price I paid, 36 New Zealand dollars, which is a tad less than Australian, probably around 30 Australian dollars, really couldn't complain. And if you consider the journey, is a part of, the way of getting there, it really couldn't complain. So yeah, all in all, it's a friendly bus driver. It was Central Napier to Central Tauranga, so it was very convenient in that regards. So yeah, I give the journey a solid 8 out of 10 for today. If you have enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit and like the subscribe button for this video. Really appreciate it. Appreciate your feedback on today's video. Anyway, we are on the outskirts of Tauranga now. It's a major industrial hub here in New Zealand. It's the 5th largest city actually. I think the population's around 160,000, so it's a really big place. It's got a very big fishing industry, and the nearby Mount Wanganui, excuse my pronunciation, is absolutely breathtaking. There's some great beaches in Tauranga as well, as you'll see in my walking tour that I release in coming weeks or months. But yeah, in the meantime, don't forget to visit my website, aussiejetsetter.com.au, where you'll see the latest flight reviews, industry news, destination guides, frequent flyer hacks, and more. Until next time, thank you very much for watching. Safe travels wherever that might take you.